What's up, ladies and gents? This is KSigKid coming at you with another Destiny video. Today we're going back to the Rise of Iron. We've got a lot of information to pretty much get out there. There's a lot of stuff to touch on, and we're only at the very beginning of August. Today we're going to talk about the Exotic Khvostov. That's right, the very first white weapon, the very first weapon that you got in Destiny is now going to be an exotic in the Rise of Iron. Everybody already knows about that. Most people have already seen the crazy perk tree that it has. But what we're going to show, aside from going over all the perks on this weapon, is we're also going to show gameplay of the weapon. That's right, gameplay thanks to Game Informer. This clip that we're going to show, it's not exactly the best quality clip, but it will let you see the Khvostov in action and let you see everything about the gun, or at least pretty much everything about the gun. So it's going to be pretty awesome, but I want to talk about it just a little bit before we get into the gameplay, before we talk about the gun stats, and before we talk about the gun perks. So the Khvostov, you know that I'm kind of a collector and a hoarder of all things Destiny related as far as armor and weapons go. I don't have this weapon. I don't have it, there's no way that I can get it, and that really pretty much upsets me. I'm sad that I can't get that right now. But what I think, as far as getting this weapon, we already know that it's going to be a quest that you get after you finish off the story missions of the Rise of Iron. You'll get a quest line in order to get this exotic auto rifle. Well, we'll talk about that in just a second. But as far as the quest goes, what I'd like to see something similar to the Necrochasm quest. Now, not exactly, but what I'd like to see is that there be some enemy out there, some major enemy, that you have to go kill or farm or search for in order to get a white Khvostov, and hope that that starts off the quest line. I like to say that because there's a lot of people in the game that are talking about 3 of Coins and how they hate that, how they want that feeling of a drop in that, yes, I can't believe I got that type of feeling. And I feel like we kind of had that whenever we were searching for our Necrochasm. Whenever we would get a Husk of the Pit to drop, that was a great feeling, and I think this is a perfect situation to bring back something like that. Bring back that RNG in the beginning, something that you know you can go and grind for, and search for, and get, and then after that continue on the quest line, and then everybody's going to have the same weapon at the end, but start it off with a little bit of RNG, start it off with a little bit of excitement. That's how I would start off this quest, that's how I would look to go about doing it. I'd get it and I'd build it up through an upgrading process, building up our white weapon all the way up to this new exotic crazy weapon. And I say crazy because this weapon is crazy. There are so many perks on it that it's basically rumored to have 100 different combinations that you can put on this gun. Now, will all 100 combinations be useful? I would say probably not. From looking at the perks that we have, I would say that there are definitely specific things that we're going to want to strive for. Whenever I'm looking at this gun though, my first thought is that I don't think the stats are going to tell the entire story. That's just my feeling. It's like how I feel about the Lord of Wolves. It's a shotgun, but it's basically really a pulse rifle. It's a shotgun that has a pulse rifle card as far as the damage and range and impact and all of that kind of stuff goes. I feel like the Lord of Wolves is actually a pulse rifle made to be a shotgun, and similarly, I feel like there's going to be stuff in this Khvostov that just doesn't fit with the stats, and I'll just go over that in a little bit. First off, let's talk about what really makes this gun crazy and gets it started off on all those combinations. There are 3 different firing modes. The white Khvostov that we have is an auto rifle. Well, this one is an auto rifle as well, except for the fact that you can also select it to be a pulse rifle with burst fire, or a scout rifle with semi-automatic firing. So right there, you're like, wait a second, I'm taking a look at these stats. These stats do not fit all of those archetypes, and you're definitely right. The stats don't even fit a really great auto rifle, let alone a great pulse rifle or a great scout rifle. Now, whenever you actually select some of the different firing modes, like the semi-automatic, you actually get a little bit of a range boost. So things like that are things that I'm actually really curious about, because those last 2 perks, and we'll jump over to those right now, are the 450 RPM and 900 RPM that they're showing off whenever this is in auto rifle mode. And whenever they select those, you can see that the 900 RPM is basically supposed to be like a doctrine, except for the fact that the 900 RPM, as far as the fire rate goes on our stats, that looks closer to what you might fire from a Zerenea D, or a Monte Carlo, or a Zalo Supercell. it's not exactly the Doctrine of Passing fire rate as far as the stats go, but you've got the impact of the Doctrine of Passing, and whenever you see it in action, it looks like it's firing off as fast as the Doctrine of Passing. So what's really telling the true story here? The stats or what we're actually seeing as far as gameplay goes? Because as far as the stats go, if this is going to be a true Doctrine of Passing type auto rifle that you can pick, that fire rate has got to be all the way to max. It's got to be all the way to 100. And I'm just not seeing it. But what I'm also curious about is if that happens to change whenever you select a different pulse rifle or scout rifle firing mode. I'm wondering if those perks are actually going to change at all, or how they're going to affect it, because obviously you cannot have a scout rifle that fires off that fast or has that low of impact. I didn't see anything in the perk tree that actually affected the impact stat. So while an auto rifle and a pulse rifle can have extremely low impact, we have never seen a scout rifle have that low of impact. So I'm really curious about how that's actually going to fire off and work in scout rifle form, and if those final two perks are actually going to change. As far as the other perks in the middle, they're all things that we've seen before. And if I'm looking, we've got Hammer Forged, Rifle Barrel, and Braced Frame as far as the first perks after our firing mode, and I would say that Braced Frame seems to be the go-to place to be. Now, whenever you happen to look at the ammo, you see 31, and that's with extended mag on an auto rifle. That would obviously be terrible, but whenever you select the highest firing mode, the 900 RPM, it looks like it takes our magazine up to 77, so that's more than enough to lose the ammo from Braced Frame and still have a respectable magazine size for a bullet hose auto rifle. We also talked about extended mag, and that's actually the top perk in the next column. Extended mag, counterbalance, and rangefinder. So counterbalance sounds like a winner. Counterbalance sounds like the winner for the auto rifle and the pulse rifle. Rangefinder might be something that's necessary for the scout rifle version, but we'll have to wait and see. Again, what I'm thinking with this gun is that the stats aren't going to tell the entire story. You've got a lot of different combinations, but if I'm looking at the tree right now, it seems like Braced Frame, Counterbalance, and the 900 RPM is definitely the way to go, at least for the pulse rifle and the auto rifle. That's pretty much the way to go. I mean, it's really interesting that auto rifles and pulse rifles basically take the exact same perk types in order to be extremely effective. You want a ton of stability, and you want to be able to hit headshots. Counterbalance is going to let you do that. Braced Frame will let you do that. And I think that's just going to make the most effective gun as far as auto and pulse rifles go. Those two fit together. The scout rifle is where it kind of throws things into a little bit of a tizzy. A scout rifle is just so different from the pulse and auto rifle as far as what's desirable on the weapon. Obviously, you still want the stability, you still want range, you want all of that good stuff. It's just the impact and the rate of fires, they just don't match up. They don't match up like they do with pulse rifles and with auto rifles. So the Khvostov is definitely an exotic weapon that's looking really exotic. It's looking really interesting and really exotic, but there are so many questions. We have to get our hands on this thing. We've got to fire it. We have to see what's working. But it's pretty cool, and it's nice to just speculate on something that's new and awesome coming out with the Rise of Iron. Anyway, guys and gals, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, smack that like button and subscribe to the channel. Check out these awesome videos. Good luck with your raids, your drops, your Rise of Iron, and I'll see you around in Destiny. Hands off, Khvostov.